Hello at home to the residents of Garfield Heights. I'm Terry Olszewski, proud superintendent of the Garfield Heights City Schools, here to welcome you to another edition of Open Line on Air. For this segment, we have a very special guest, school board member Mrs. Christine Kitson. Welcome, Mrs. Kitson. It's only fitting that we invite Mrs. Kitson on the program today because one of her roles as a school board member is to be a representative to the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Our goal with this broadcast is to give people watching at home an idea of what Mrs. Kitson plays as a board member and how she views the current state and future of the Garfield Heights City School District. Welcome, Mrs. Kitson. Can you first begin by sharing with the viewers at home a little bit about your background and yourself?
Sure. Hi, Mr. Olszewski, and thank you for having me today. I am a member of the Garfield Heights School Board. I've been a member for 8 years, and I've been married for 26 years. In those 26 years, we've lived in Garfield Heights. My husband, Scott's grown up in Garfield Heights and actually attended schools, K through 12 in Garfield Heights. His family's still here, so he has strong ties to the community. And we also have 2 children. They both went through the school system, and they both graduated, and they're doing well. Garfield Heights School District prepared them well. My daughter is in medical school, and she's a second lieutenant in the Air Force, and my son is in his undergraduate studies at Toledo. And I can honestly say that the school district prepared them for their future, and they're doing well now.
How about your professional career? The viewers at home know that being a board member is only a part-time role. So what do you do away from the Garfield Heights City Schools and the school board?
Okay. Well, in theory, on paper, a board member's role is part-time, but I consider we're kind of on call 24/7 for the community members and for the children. But in my career, I am a registered nurse, and I graduated in 1985 from Metro General School of Nursing, and I have been practicing since that time. I also believe in lifelong learning, and just this year I completed my Bachelor of Science in Nursing through Ohio University.
You did mention your husband serving on the school board. How many years did he serve, and what was his goal as being on the school board?
Scott is my husband, and he has served for 16 years on the school board. He served back when our children were first in the district, and I got on the school board after him. And actually, since I knew Scott, when he was in college, he had an interest in serving on the school board. He's always had an interest in public education, and he actually affirmed my belief and my desire to serve the public.
So why did you run for the school board, and what are some of the things that you'd like to accomplish?
I've always tried to be involved in my children's life and involved in the community where I live. And when my children were in school, I was involved in PTA and booster clubs and levy campaigns, of course. And as the children grew up, I felt a need to give back to the community and wanted to be a representative for the Garfield Heights Board of Education. And in this way, I can hopefully have a positive impact on the students' education and serve as an advocate for public education.
So in your own words, what is the role of the school board?
What I think a school board member does is try to improve public education and also be aware of the factors that affect public education. And as a role of school board member, we have a few jobs. First is to hire our superintendent and our treasurer, and we've, I think, done a very good job with that. We also set policy for the district, and we also set a strategic plan for the district and higher level goals to make sure that all the children are achieving. And finally, we act as a liaison between the administration and the public. So we're in constant communication with what's going on in the district, and also we report concerns that the public might have to the administration.
How about some of the things that a school board does not get involved with?
Well, one thing we don't do is oversee the day-to-day operations of the school district. I'm a registered nurse by profession. I don't have a degree in education, and I don't have my superintendent's license. I don't have my treasurer's license. And that is your role, Mr. Olszewski, and Mr. Sluka's role. You oversee the day-to-day operations. We set the goals for the district. You report to us, let us know how things are going, let us know of any difficulties you're having achieving those goals, And then we are accountable, as you are accountable to us, we're accountable to the public and how the district is performing.
5 school board members. Kind of explain to the viewers what the structure of that board looks like.
Well, there's 5 school board members for a reason. This way there is always a majority rule, a majority vote. We can never have a tie. And no one board member has more power than the other. We all are equal in power. We're voted in at large by the public. And what we do is each month we have a public meeting, and at that time decisions are made. No decisions can be made by the board members in private. Everything's made at a public session. And what happens is a lot of preparation behind the scenes. Information's given to us, we ask questions, we get information. Things happen before the public meeting, so when we do go to that meeting setting, we're ready. We have to be prepared. And then we can go ahead and vote on the decisions and the information that's presented to us at the meeting.
What are some things that you're particularly proud of as being a school board member that you've accomplished?
I think Garfield Heights City Schools is doing a great job. We do have our challenges, but we are really making progress. First, we do have the K through 5 community schools, which is bringing that community spirit back, that neighborhood spirit back to the children and to the parents in the community. We also have all-day kindergarten. And I think it's so important that we have all-day kindergarten because we have to get those kids early on and give them that strong basis, that reading, that writing, that those basic social skills that we can do in an all-day kindergarten setting. We also have a school resource officer, so safety and security is very important to us. And Officer Seawright is available to all the schools, not just the high school. He's a resource that we can use in all our schools.
What are some of our challenges that we face?
What I feel is the challenges that we face are coming from external forces. There's external factors. Federal and state mandates keep changing, so the expectations for the schools keep changing, which puts a challenge on the administrative team and the teaching team. Also, there's problems with funding. There are mandates that we have to follow, and there's more of a demand on local funding, taxpayer funding for schools, and less state and federal money available to our schools. And also, I think there's social challenges. It's difficult to live in today's age. The children have a lot of demands. They have peer pressure on them. They have some role models that might not be the best role models. Families are in a tough place too. There's problems with foreclosures, unemployment, there's single family households. All these factors kind of impact the child in that. So when the child comes to school, in the ideal situation, that child will be fully prepared. And sometimes our kids come to school with these challenges, and it makes life and teaching difficult.
We had a large job to do this year by looking at our school policy. What was your role in looking at the school policy and changing it?
As I said earlier, policy making is one of the basic roles of the school board member. And what we were involved with in Garfield Heights was a policy committee, and Mr. Oshesky, you were on the committee, Assistant Superintendent Joan Chamberlain, Mr. Saluka, fellow board member Gary Walski, and myself were on the committee. And what we actually did was look at every policy in Garfield Heights City Schools, went through every policy step by step, page by page, and updated those policies to make sure that they reflected what we wanted in our district and also reflected the mandates and laws that we need to comply with.
It's fitting that we're in this beautiful building here at Cuyahoga Career Center, and you're a representative of Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role here at the center?
My role here, I've been a Cuyahoga Valley Career Member Board Representative for 2 years, and my role here kind of reflects what I do at Garfield Heights City Schools. Board members here hire superintendent and treasurers. We set the policy. We look at the strategic plan and the goals for the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, and then our superintendent here, Dr. Selena Robeck, reports to the board members about how the students here at Cuyahoga Valley Career Center are achieving. And Cuyahoga Valley Career Center is actually made up of 8 districts. And we have board representation for each of the local districts. And like I said earlier, I represent Garfield Heights children and community.
Anything else that you'd like to add to finish up?
Well, again, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about what a board member does, and really still feel strongly that a board member is an advocate for the schools, is an advocate for public education, is a champion for the children. And what I do with every decision that I make, I look at how that decision is going to impact the child. And Mr. Olszewski, I personally would like to say that knew you when you were principal at the middle school, when you were principal at the high school. You were a strong leader, and I think you're doing a wonderful job leading the entire district of Garfield Heights.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Kitson. We appreciate you being here today. And we appreciate all the board members for their support and supporting the young people of Garfield Heights. The community should have a better understanding of what the school board does, and we're grateful for your service. Until next time, I'm Superintendent Terry Olszewski, and as always, go Bulldogs!